Sziasztok! Sok szeretettel köszöntök mindenkit a mai MetaPro webináron. Bemutatkoznék, én Werchan Adél vagyok, az LR Magyarország marketing menedzsere. A mai webinár dr. Werchan független táplálkozástudományi szakértő fogja nekünk tartani. Most őt fel fogom konferálni, viszont ezt angol nyelven fogom megtenni, hogy ő is értse. Így kérlek már most kapcsoljátok át a magyar nyelvű tolmácsolásra lent a földgömb ikon segítségével tudjátok ezt megtenni, és akkor a tolmácsunk által fogjátok érteni a felkonferálást is, illetve az előadónkat is a későbbiekben. Amennyiben pedig bármilyen technikai problémátok, akkor kérlek a chaten jelezzétek felénk, és igyekszünk segíteni. Hello, welcome everyone on today's metabolism. At the beginning of May, we officially launched a product set made of a selected and well-known and popular LR health products that supports our intestinal tract and metabolism. The name of this set is MetaPro, which provides the pro support for your metabolism, which serves our complete health and our metabolism and the prevention of it. I'm very happy that we can continue our cooperation with one of the best specialists in LR related health subjects, LR products. A few weeks ago, we had a webinar with him on Body Mission, and now he is here again to hold a webinar for us on MetaPro. Whether you are an existing partner wishing to extend your knowledge, or you are a new partner gathering as many information as possible, for sure this webinar will provide you many valuable information and knowledge which would help you personally on your health and also increasing your business. I know that you are very excited that today we will have a highly regarded doctor with us. So I'm welcoming Dr. Werchan from Germany, from Berlin. As you know, he is a key person behind our products and our product developments at LR. And today he will share his views and knowledge about intestinal tract and metabolism. So let's welcome together Dr. Werchan. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. So I'm very delighted, and thank you for you joining this webinar, because it always gives a wonderful opportunity. There is something else you would like to share or to say, or it's just so the stage is mine, so to speak. Exactly. Yeah. So thank you very much again. I call this webinar "Welcome to a New Level of Health." So why are you speaking about a new level of health? First of all, we live in a new world. That's true for many aspects, and that's also true for the aspect of health and diseases. And we should consider that, because health is such a valuable asset in our life, and the new world is appearing in a different set of threats to our health that we experience through our lifestyle. And so we are invited to approach health and diseases in a different way. That's one aspect. And the other aspect is that if you are working with LR products for yourself, or especially with other people, with your clients, if you make health recommendations, it is important to have a kind of understanding how these products work, and especially how they work in a different way than normal medication. The point is that we all think in terms of school medicine. We all think in terms of, here's a disease, I have something against the disease, I have something against a specific symptom. This is how medication usually works, and that's okay, but it's not the way our products work, and especially not our set, like the MetaPro set. So it is in order for you to, that the whole thing makes sense, and in order that your clients understand why it makes sense to use such set of products and how they work in the body, it's good to have a rough understanding of the principles and the specifics. And that's what I would like to share. So when I talk about a new approach to health, that had many aspects. I only concentrate in terms of this webinar on the most important. So the first and most important thing is that we should understand that we support health with anything that we can recommend out of the whole range of the LR products. They are for health instead of against a disease. I mean, if you are ill, maybe you don't care. You'd only want to overcome the disease. But in working with nature, in working with these products, it is different to do something for your health than just suppress symptoms or try to control a disease. So I hope that that fact becomes more clearer throughout the webinar and maybe even next webinar. Because what we want to address is more the causes of especially lifestyle related diseases instead of just suppressing symptoms that coming out of lifestyle. And therefore we use plants instead of chemicals, and they work according to different principles in different time frames and with different ideas behind. So maybe we start with a short look of the new health and disease situation that we have in the world, not just today, but since maybe some decades, and even more so in the years to come. We have quite a few lifestyle factors that can be a burden for the body, or that stresses the body and especially our intestines. And of course, it's the combination of nutrition and physical inactivity. I mean, not everybody has an unhealthy nutrition, but nutrition is at least a challenge in our new world. In Germany, we just have this discussion here if advertisement for sweeties are too forbidden for kids, especially because they are all over the place. You know that we have such a big amount of food all over the place that we eat many things that our grandparents would not have even considered as food. So nutrition is a challenge in this world. What you eat, how much you eat, when you eat, the way you eat, and more people have or losing the perspective on their nutrition. So we have the big pandemic of obesity in Europe, in the world. Of course, that's not the case for all people in the world, but especially here on the north part of the world, and especially in Europe and North America. And that comes along with a world in which we have more and more physical inactivity. We sit most of the time, we use cars, we don't behave like our grandparents, and we don't behave like the way we used to be created 100,000, 50,000 years ago. We used to walk around 10 to 20 kilometers per day. Today, in these days, it's only 1 to 2 to 3 kilometers. Of course, that's not true for everybody, but it's a challenge. The challenge is how to bring physical activity in your lifestyle on a regular basis. So these are two aspects. Another aspect is the fact of stress, information, work-life balance. I mean, not stress is a real problem, but chronic stress, because chronic stress comes with many different and severe changes in your metabolism, in the blood flow, in the way how the blood flows, in terms of the balance of your hormones. And chronic stress is the most dangerous health condition in the world, according to the World Health Organization. And to find ways to deal with stress in order not to come into chronic stress, into burnout, into chronic depression, that's an ongoing challenge for many people. And with the crisis and the meta crisis in the world, the war in Europe, the climate change, there's an underlying stress factor that influences the whole population more and more. And that comes on top, or is always below, all the personal stress you have to deal with. And then, of course, we have another issue that influences all of us. That's the environmental pollution. So the changes in our environment, in terms of chemicals in the environment, microplastic in the environment, what's in the air, the heat, and all these factors that are work at the same time, they are present at the same times. Some of them are more present in one life and other are in other lives, but they influence each other. If you are under stress, you usually make bad decisions in terms of your nutrition. If you are inactive in terms of your body, you store your stress hormones in the body, and so forth and so on. I think you know what I'm talking about. These are factors that are present. They are even more present than 50 years ago. We all have to deal with them in one way or another, and they are always there at the same times in one way or another. And the body responds. The body responds if you eat more than you use in terms of energy. Of course, you become overweight, not overnight, but over months or years. If you have an imbalance between plant food and animal food in your nutrition, you have the issue of hyperacidity or acidosis of the body we're going to talk about. All these factors influence the intestinal flora. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. And the body reacts with chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. These factors, if they are present in your body over months, over years and decades, we develop what we call, or what they lead to, what we call lifestyle-related diseases. So these are not diseases due to viruses or bacteria. You have to consider 100 years ago, most of us were dying from bacteria, from viruses, from infections. And so we overcame these kind of death causes through antibiotics and modern medicine. So that's great. But now more than 50-60% of us are dying from lifestyle related diseases. And here are just some examples, like high blood pressure. 25% in Germany have high blood pressure. Type 2 diabetes, it's widespread and the numbers are rising. Metabolic syndrome, various types of cancer. I mean, not all cancers due to lifestyle, but the cancer of the intestine, lung cancer, and others are influenced through our lifestyle. Depression, burnout, and the consequences. I mean, burnout is the second most important reason for people to go into retirement earlier than they actually plan to in the European Union and in many countries. So lifestyle-related diseases occur when our organisms at the limit. That means we all have capacity. We all have a capacity to regulate. If we are under stress, we can regulate ourselves. Yeah. And if more and more stress coming into our life and we don't respond in a way that we strengthen our body, if we just postpone the issue of health in our life, then we reach sooner or later, and for more and more people it's sooner and sooner, we reach the level when our regulatory capacity it's reached its limit, and then we develop a disease. And then usually we go to the doctor, and then the doctor is managing the disease. Because if we don't change anything in our lifestyle, if we don't change causes, we just treat symptoms. And that's what we do. So 50 to 80% of all the visiting of doctors is due to lifestyle related diseases meanwhile. So we spend a lot of money, a lot of medication just to manage, just to suppress the symptom of lifestyle related disease. And I'm not saying that we should not do this. If you have high blood pressure, then of course it's important to do something against the high blood pressure. But we should not, listen carefully, we should not stop there, but because if we really are serious with ourselves and with self-care and self-love, we should also consider underlying causes and change something in our life in terms of one or more factors. And just to give you 2 examples of that, more and more people in Germany are suffering from irritable bowel syndrome, and that's true for many, many countries. Yeah, so it's in continuous rising of the number of people who are suffering from lifestyle-related changes in the functioning of the bowel of the intestinal syndrome. That's also true for even more severe diseases like colitis and morbus Crohn, because these are already severe inflammatory diseases of the bowel system. Just to give you an idea, and that's true for many more diseases that are related to lifestyle. I mean, we can reduce diseases that are where we can eliminate causes through good hygiene. We eliminated causes for the plague or for smallpox and for all kinds of infectional diseases. We can really extinguish from the world through vaccination some of these diseases, but we cannot do this with lifestyle related diseases because our behavior and our lifestyle are major contribution factors for the onset and ongoing of these kind of diseases. And nearly 60 to 70, in America, even 80% of all costs in the healthcare system are spent for the management of lifestyle related diseases. And it's not just the money, it costs us many years, a lot of joy of life, and of course of quality of life. To put it all together, we could say you are what you eat and how you live. In Germany, it's very easy to say because du bist, was du isst in Germany, and or you are what you eat. And that all sounds maybe depressive, but the good news is if our lifestyle is part of the problem, then our lifestyle can also be part of the solution. We are not doomed to live this way. We are not doomed to getting all the diseases. I mean, we cannot avoid a disease totally. Well, we can influence the risk factors, we can influence the probability, we can influence the statistics, yeah, how likely it is that we get a lifestyle-related disease, and when is the onset, when it starts, if it starts with 60, if it starts with 70, if it starts with 75. And if you pay your pension, yeah, if you want to enjoy your pension, then of course do something for your health. Then that's the prerequisite for the enjoyment and the quality of life later on. And it's not even for the time when you retire, it's for the whole life cycle. So that's the good news. You can do something, and we're gonna, of course, take a look of what that is. This is where LifeTux usually comes in, because LifeTux stands, the idea or the brand LifeTux stands for health support. It stands for the idea by using medical plants, using natural remedies, using micronutrients, and especially the combination of all of that to support health, to strengthen the body, to reduce the burden of modern lifestyle. And of course, you should not just take products, you should consider your lifestyle, you should find your way of dealing with nutrition, with physical activity, with dealing with stress, detoxification. There's many more things you can do, and we concentrate today on one of the specific combination that we put together and that seem to be very effective. So if you combine a medical plant like aloe vera, we're going to talk about more specific, with high quality alkaline minerals that address hyperacidity, with probiotic bacteria that help to create a balance in the intestine in terms of the flora, and to combine with the product that has a lot of immunological power like colostrum, then you can achieve a broad variety, a multitude of positive health effects at the same time. So then 1 and 1 is not just 2, but 1 and 1 is 4 even. Yeah. So we call this in natural medicine, we call this emergence, yeah, or emergence. And that because if you put together different products, you get a result that you cannot have by the product alone. And that's also a totally different approach than medication, because medication works only with one substance at the time. Yeah, a medication against high blood pressure contains just one active substance. Here we combine products that alone have hundreds of substances, and then we put it even together. So we have a whole ecosystem, yeah, of substances that work together, that support each other. Yeah, we're gonna call this the intestinal and metabolism cure, or Meta Pro. Yeah, and with Meta Pro, you improve your metabolism. That's one very important aspect of modern life. Yeah, metabolism and all that is connected with metabolism, and support the intestines as it's the foundation of a healthy life, because it's the biggest immunological organ. It's the organ for your whole metabolism. And what comes out of that, it's the increase of your regulatory power. Yeah, your ability to deal with all the stress and strain outside, and to self-heal your body as much as you still can. That's the idea behind. Because, and please consider that, because regardless of the type of illness, yeah, you can always do something for your body, and you should always do something for your body. You know, the point is that we externalize health. We gave it to doctors, we gave it to the pharmaceuticals, and say, yeah, do something with me to make me healthy again. And we are not in our responsibility. Responsibility is the ability to respond according to the factors in the world. So to have responsibility for your health means you respond according to your life task, according to your needs, according to your age, according to your stress factors, your life situation, yeah, to support your body, to regulate your health, yeah, according to your genetic and epigenetic, you know, frames in which you experience your life, yeah, and that's different for all of us. So that's why people are getting different diseases under the same circumstances they are living. What's also true with many illnesses, you rarely only need the doctor. Of course, that's not true for all. And it's good to see the doctor, but then to take your part of responsibility too. Yeah. And especially, and that's especially true for lifestyle related diseases, you can contribute a lot in positive ways. And for a variety of diseases, it's even true that you can fix yourself. I mean, through weight reduction, this is what we shared in the body mission already, and also with the Meta Pro set, you can fix things. We should not promise that to people because it, of course, depends on many side factors we cannot see. The genetics, the age, other lifestyle factors, but it is always good to have a try. It's always good to support your body as good as it gets. Yeah. And this is what we gonna do. And so let's take a little deeper dive into these 4 levels or 4 different perspectives. And we start with the medical plant aloe vera. You know, it has a long history, 5,000 to 6,000 years. It is used all over the world for many, many different reasons. And if we look into literature here in the Journal of Ethnopharmacological Pharmacology from 1999, it's a review. It gives us an overview about all the medical aspects in which we can use aloe vera. And here it's the anti-inflammatory effect. I mean, it sounds pretty medical, but from a medical point of view, anything that has anti-inflammatory effects, any food like omega-3 fatty acids, plants like aloe vera, that's a big contribution in supporting the body, because chronic inflammation is one of the major drivers of lifestyle related diseases. Then it has the ability to modulate our immune system, to strengthen or to balancing. And that's very important because the inflammation is an effect of an imbalance in the immune system, especially the chronic inflammation. Then it has the ability to work with our metabolism. It can stimulate metabolism. It has anti-diabetic effects. It can reduce oxidative stress. And what's very interesting, the aloe can support the intake of vitamins from your food. If you have a normal meal and take aloe along with the meal, then you support the intake and the blood level of the vitamins that are in the food. And we don't know any other plant that can do this. So that means you have many different levels, and I think that's one of the secret of aloe vera, that it works on many levels simultaneously, yeah, on the immune system, on the metabolic system, on the supply system. It has regenerative effects on different tissues in the body. These are all mild effects, but they come all together at the same time, and they work in the body at the same time. And we know this from hundreds or even thousands of medical studies. If you go into the big scientific libraries and you give aloe vera, that was true here for, I think, 2 months or so. We have 4,400, more than 4,400 studies from aloe vera alone. And so we can see that is a very interesting plant, and this is a widely examined plant since hundreds of years, thousands of years, and especially you see here in the last 20, 25 years, many studies came out to give us an idea how we can use it, why it works, and of course, it goes down to, or it comes down to many different ingredients. And I don't want to go into all of them, but you see here vitamins, a lot of minerals, trace elements, amino acids, enzymes, bioactive plant substances. And the real secret is how they work together. I think that's nature. In nature, we have a lot of effects that, in ecosystems, the wider the range of biodiversity, the more power has an ecosystem, the more stable an ecosystem is. And if we work with plants, if we work with natural medicine, not with control medicine in school medicine, but so we give substances that work together. It's like in an orchestra. Yeah, the beauty of an orchestra is that they play together in a way that creates something that no violin, no flute, could produce on its own. That's true for the whole thing, for nature in total, and it's also true for a medical plant like aloe vera. And please open your heart for such a point of view, that if we want to, reconnect with nature, if we want to reconnect with a healthy way of living, we have to consider different approaches and different perspectives on our bodies, on our way of living. And aloe helps us because it is a composition of healthy substances that work perfectly together. And one of the ideas of LR is to take this gift of nature and to combine it with other, plants or other micronutrients that we add to aloe vera. We call it the aloe plus idea or system. So if you take the aloe vera and you add stinging nettle extract, then you get aloe vera severa. So you combine the positive effects of two plants, and then you have a very powerful aloe vera drinking gel that especially improves sugar and fat metabolism, especially supports the heart and the blood vessels. And therefore, it is suitable especially for people who have issues with blood vessels, who have issues with the heart. Of course, you can use all aloe vera drinking gels, but then you have, I wouldn't call them even experts, but you have, a little strength here or there, a strength in the immune system, strength for blood and heart vessels, for regeneration and detoxification effects. Yeah. So you have all the variety, all the different levels, and that work simultaneously, and they have the additional effects of the stinging nettle extract. So aloe vera alone can be used because of its anti-inflammatory effects with chronic intestinal inflammation, with joint inflammation, with arthritis and stuff, yeah, or with inflammatory skin diseases like neurodermitis. Please consider, if you do so, start very slowly. There are effects in the beginning that detoxification starts in the body. So the body has to adjust also to a powerful plant like aloe, so start slowly. That's always good to consider. Because of the immunomodulating effects, you can use it with allergic diseases, also in combination. We're going to talk about it, also to support the immune system in general if you have infections or frequent colds. Then you can support your general nutrition, the micronutrient intake. When you want to, you just live a healthy life. I mean, you eat also other plants to have a healthy life. You can eat this plant. And because we don't eat the plant, we should not eat aloe pure or raw, because there are substances in it that are not suitable for an ongoing intake, and they are eliminated in the drinking gales. So you can use drinking gales for months or even years. And of course, it's a valuable plant like strawberries, like cabbage, like many different plants we have, but with a specific power in terms of healing, in terms of anti-inflammation and so, yeah. And then you can also use it to support your metabolism, especially with diabetes. There are a lot of studies showing that it supports the blood sugar regulation with diabetes. It has mild influences on cholesterol and elevated blood lipids. So it is a plant that you can use no matter what kind of disease you have, just to support your health and to support the body with these variety, yeah, just example, this variety of diseases in particular, yeah. It is not against the disease, it's for the body. Again, it's for the body. It's to help the body to deal, yeah, to reduce, to balance, yeah, to support, and to help the body to re-regulate, to help the body to heal, yeah. And how far it always goes, that depends on many other factors, but we do our best, and the rest is in other hands. So in terms of the application, there's a rough corridor of 3 times 30 milliliter daily. You can use more if you have the feeling that more is good for you. You can drink more. You should always start slowly, though, with 3 times 5 milliliter maybe in the first week, and then 3 times 10 to 50 milliliter in the second week. And if you have strong reactions in the body, you can even go a little bit, you can lower the intake maybe for a couple of days. You can play with it. 3 times 30 milliliter is not a fixed doses. You can have more if you have the feeling that more is better for you. You can try for 3 times 40 or 3 times 50. We have sometimes people with 3 times 70 or even 80, and they have strong effects. Then it's not sure that you have an effect if you take more, but you can try if you want to, and many people have then even stronger effects. It is true for many diseases, or not for the use of natural medicine, that you have to have more patience, that it not works like a medication. Medication are good for short-term effects, yeah, that's good to use, and for effects in the long run, it's good to use plants. So take at least 3 to 6 months. Yeah, it unfolds its effects when you take it over a longer period of time, because there are mild effects. Yeah. And continuous intake is possible because, and this is what I mentioned, it is free of aloin. Yeah. Aloin, of one of the powerful substances in it, but aloin is for to really, if you have constipation, you can really get a release from constipation, but then aloin, you can only use it, you can substance it with aloin only use for a couple of weeks, but this drinking gel is for the long-term use, and that's why it's free of aloin. Okay, so much for the aloe. Let's take a look on another system, the acid-base system, and the issue of hyperacidity. You know, acidosis or hyperacidity as a result of lifestyle is an issue for many, many people today. And it's mainly through nutrition and a stressful lifestyle. Both factors are a burden for the balance system, for the acid-base system. And let's start with nutrition here. Things that you eat are delivering either acids to the body or base potential to the body. And the point is that all animal-based food, sausage, meat, dairy products, and cereals are delivering acids. The main acid load comes from meat and sausage and also from dairy products, and a mild acid load comes from cereals. It is not, you cannot taste it, it comes in the metabolism. It's not a problem, it's just a fact. Your base potential comes from all vegetables, from all fruits. So we are designed, evolutionary designed, to have our system in balance with 20% of animal products and 80% plant products. Because dairy products are pretty new in terms of evolution, 8,000 years. Cereals are pretty new in terms of evolution. So we had meat always in our evolutionary past, but only to 20%. The rest has been vegetables, the rest has been fruits and roots and leaves, you know? And if that is present in your life, you're probably in balance in terms of the acid-base system. Actually, for most people, it's more the opposite way. They have 70% of their food, of their total nutrition in terms of cereals, dairy products, sausage, meat, and fish, and only 30% of plant-based product, vegetable, fruits, salads, stuff. Yeah. And if your nutrition is organized more in this percentage, yeah, then you live in a situation that we call chronic acidosis. Yeah. So you can ask yourself, or you can ask your clients, what is the relationship between animal products, cereals, and plant products like vegetable and fruits? And you can ask them, and if they say 50-50, they are in chronic hyperacidity. If they have 70-30 or something in between, you have chronic hyperacidity. So that represents an imbalance for an organism. That's a stress factor for the organism. Hyperacidity, it's not a disease in itself, but it can lead to disease, and it promotes many different diseases like high blood pressure, like the metabolic syndrome, like diabetes. It's not the cause, it's one of the aspects, yeah, in the multitude of factors that lead. So just let go of the idea that there's one reason for one disease. It is all a network, it is all many different things pay into a situation, and the more difficult things you have in your life, the higher is the probability to overstimulate or to exceed the regulation capacity or regulatory capacity of the body. And the more you do, the more you give positive impact to your system, the more you support the body to deal with all of these. So acidosis is a chronic stress factor for many people, not for all, but for many people. You can ask yourself, you can ask your client, what's the balance, what you should consider. So, and if you have a chronic acidosis, if you have an imbalance, then you should consider your nutrition. Either you eat more vegetables and fruits and less of these other products, or you use additional alkaline minerals. With a good product, you support the supply of minerals, because especially in Germany, we have also an insufficient supply, especially from magnesium and calcium. You can secure the supply of trace elements, yeah, if you have a good product like ProBalance. And most important, you can support the acid-base system. You can support the balance in the system, and that's probably the most valuable impact of ProBalance. Yeah, actually 3 columns: the secure supply of minerals, of trace elements, but the major thing here is balancing the acid-base system. That's supportive for many people. So especially with chronic metabolic diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, there are many more reasons, because diabetes is affecting the kidneys, and then you lose even more minerals, and you need magnesium, for instance, for insulin. And so there are many more reasons. We just concentrate on some of them. So if you are under stress, if you have a lot of strain in your body, or if you are older than 60, then additional minerals are required, because you don't take them as good from the intestines like with 20. When you are 60 or even older, you have changes due to the decrease of estrogen. And there are many factors why the supply issue, yeah, do you get enough minerals, do you get enough vitamins, and all this stuff is especially important for people in older years, or in if you are getting older than 60, and even more so with 65 or 70. Yeah, and ProBalance can be recommended and used if you have a nutrition that is more on the acid side, an acidic diet, yeah, to avoid hyperacidity. By hyperacidity, due to imbalance in your nutrition, is a stress factor in the body. And then, of course, there are many medical situations like chronic back pain, or pain, especially in muscles and joints, that are then an effect of chronic hyperacidity in the tissue. That's also true for rheumatism and arthritis, because inflammation around joints create hyperacidity, not even because of your nutrition, because of the inflammation. And then you have 2 factors that influence each other. And also headache and fatigue can come to hyperacidity. And of course, after heavy alcohol, because with alcohol in the body, you lose more of minerals. And that's also one factor, because you have a hangover and a headache the next day. So what's about the application? It's always good to start 3 times 4 tablets for the first 3 months. And then you can play with the dosage. Maybe you take just half of it for 3 more months. You can take it permanently. That depends a little bit on your nutrition. It depends on the way you live your life. And I think it's good to get an inner feeling. Okay, that was a day with a lot of this and less of this, and therefore I take 12 tablets today, but that was a pretty balanced day in terms of my acid-base system. Maybe I take only 4 or 5. that would be an advanced way of dealing with this. But start with 12 weeks, start in the MetaPro, under the MetaPro idea, with 12 tablets for the first 12 weeks, because then you fill up the inner storage for all the minerals and trace elements. And ideally, you take it after the meal, maybe half hour, an hour after the meal. But if you take it according with the meals, also okay. Okay, then we take a look at our intestine. Of course, our intestine system, our bowel system, is the biggest and largest system in the body. It's the largest contact surface with the outside. I'm going to explain what that means, because why outside? It's the largest metabolic system. It's the largest immune system. 70 to 80% of all the immune cells are around our intestine. They are trained there. They're educated there. And then they go into other areas of the body. And our intestines are our second brain, and the brain and the gut-brain axis, as we call it in medicine, becomes more and more interesting and more evident for all kinds of, how to say, for not just diseases, but we know that changes in the intestine have immediate effect on our mood, on our ability to concentrate, what we call brain fog. So changes in the intestine system, changes in the flora, even changes our behavior. We don't really understand how that all works, but we know, that's for sure, we know that there's a strong connection between what's going on in our intestine and what's going on in our brain. Yeah, it's one big system. So please consider, just to have an idea, the total surface area of the intestines are 200 to 300 square meters. Yeah, it comes through a change in the surface. It's not a smooth surface in this 7 to 8 meter of our intestinal system. It's looked like on this picture. And this, we consider in medicine the surface of the intestinal system as an outer surface of the body. It is like something that goes inside. It seems to be inside, but what's going through our intestinal system, it's not in the body, because it is a toxic substance with a lot of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and so this surface of our gut system, it's a very delicate surface, because it has to be extremely thin in the double function of letting all the nutrients pass into the bloodstream in the body, but keep all the toxins, keep all the viruses, all the bacteria outside the body in this tube. Yeah, this tube goes through the body, and changes the food from what we eat to what we put in the toilet. So this surface is very vulnerable. It is very delicate because it's so thin. It has to be thin, otherwise we would starve to death. But it has to be thick enough and closed enough, and to get all the stuff outside that is dangerous for us. And that's why the state of this outer surface, it's so important, and it determines not just our daily well-being, how you feel right now. If there's something going on there, you feel it, because there are so many nerve connections between the gut system and the brain, but also the current health and our long-term life expectancy. there something wrong with this surface? Yeah. Is there something wrong with the flora down there? It has an influence in many, many different ways. So, and to work or to do this delicate work of this outer surface, we have to have a functioning intestinal flora. We cannot do it on our own. So we live in a symbiosis with billions and billions and billions of microbes. They help us to do this big job down there in our bellies. Yeah. So this is how it looks like if it's healthy. Probiotic bacteria are like a second skin on the surface of the gut system. And they are not just working as a skin there, they are involved in digestion. They help us to digest stuff because they have a genetic power, a genetic variety of enzymes and what they can do that exceeds our genetic potential about 100-fold. Yeah. So they help digestion and metabolism. But that's only the beginning. They train the interaction between bacteria on one side of the skin and the immune cells on the other side inside the body. They communicate with each other. So our immune cells are trained by probiotic bacteria. They are trained to distinguish what's an enemy, what's a friend, what's dangerous, what's not dangerous. And if this communication doesn't work anymore, maybe your immune cells consider something, yeah, from the outside world as dangerous, and it's not even dangerous, and you have allergies against all kinds of plants and, trees, and that's not even necessary. And the other thing is, if you cannot distinguish what's dangerous, what's not dangerous, maybe you are not as aggressive against viruses or cancer cells or something as you should be as an immune cell. So probiotic bacteria are partner for our immune system, and probiotic bacteria produce substances that go into the bloodstream that influence the brain. It's really an exciting new thing that we know since a couple of years, that if you have animals and you change the bacteria, maybe you have a depressive mouse, you have this in animals, or you have an autistic mouse or a frightening mouse. And then you have another mouse that is very open and is investigating and is running around and it's very social with other mice. And then you change the bacteria they have inside, you change their behavior. From an anxious mouse, it became a more interesting mouse. From an autistic mouse, it becomes a social mouse, and vice versa. And we don't know how that really works, but it works. It works with mice, it works with hamster, it works with rats, it works with all kinds of animals. So it's likely that it works with human beings too. So we cannot we cannot make this exchange like in mice, but we know that changing the environment down there and helping the gut flora to become more healthy, it can have a lot of positive impacts in all kinds of directions. And then, of course, you have not just positive probiotic bacteria, you have all kinds of pathogenic agents, also bacteria, but then also fungi and viruses. And in a healthy environment, they live in a balance. Like in your garden, you have, some plants you like, some plants you don't like, but in an ecosystem, they are in a balance. And this balance is under threat through nutrition, because probiotic bacteria, they love and they need plants. And all the pathogenic agents, they love sugar, they love meat and sausage. And if you have a lot more sausage and meat and sugar and less healthy plants, yeah, prebiotic plants with fiber, yeah, then you have an imbalance. And this is what we have. We call it dysbiosis, yeah, that more fungi grow, more pathogenic bacteria grow, and less probiotic bacteria because they're under stress or they don't get enough to eat. It's like plants. If you have plants, you don't give water to them, then of course. And it is the case that pathogenic bacteria have low standards in terms of nutrition. And if you have low standards in your nutrition, the pathogenic bacteria benefit and the probiotic bacteria suffer. And stress is another factor, and environmental pollution is another factor. And so it goes. And then you have diseases that are associated with dysbiosis, like allergies. Yeah, it's one of the major theories why allergies become so prevalent and increasing, that we have an alteration in terms of the intestinal flora, frequent infections, especially with kids, especially when they are born through cesarean. Yeah, in Germany, every third kid is born cesarean. Meanwhile, every third kid. And if you have not the normal way of coming to this earth through the vagina and through the and getting in contact with the flora from your mother, then you have already a difficult start in the world in terms of the bacterial and in the gut world. So diarrhea, of course, can associate it with dysbiosis, but especially the irritable bowel syndrome and the increase of intolerances, of food intolerances like lactose and gluten and stuff. And I think the biggest issue in terms of lifestyle-related diseases in the long run is the increase of chronic inflammation, not just in the intestine, but in the whole body, and due to dysbiosis. Yeah. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on there, and it's a very important part. So probiotic bacteria support, if you take probiotic bacteria, you support, again, the balance, because you're getting probiotic bacteria. You help the healthy gut flora. And that's going to have a positive impact then on metabolism, because the probiotic bacteria bring a power in terms of metabolism, bring genetic impact in terms of enzymes, in terms of what they can do with our nutrition. And we need this, yeah? And that can even improve mood and brain function in the long run. It's not a short-term effect, but in the long run. And that also works on the immune system. It can strengthen the immune system. It can also help balancing the immune system. That then has influences on inflammation and all of that. So Pro 12 is a good product because it delivers 1.5 billion positive probiotic bacteria with each capsule. Yeah, that's quite a lot. So 12 different strains. Yeah, lactobacillus, bifidobacillus, different strains from which we know they have positive impacts. And that's, I think, the most important issue in terms of when you want to compare this product. All the different strains, all the 12 different strains are micro-encapsulated. Not the capsule you take out of the box, but when you open it, what comes out there, these are the micro-encapsulated strains. What would mean you can open it and can give it to, to food, even into water, and still have the microencapsulation. And microencapsulation means they are protected from the very aggressive environment in the stomach. The stomach is very acid, and to kill all the bacteria that are on the food, not to poison your body, and of course that would kill the probiotic bacteria if you take them unencapsulated, pure, because that's the other way other products from other companies work. They put 8 or 10 billion probiotic bacteria, but then you drink them without any protection, hoping that some of them are getting through the stomach, and we help them by protecting them from the chlorine acid in the stomach. Yeah. And then in the capsule, you have prebiotics. That means that's the food for the probiotic bacteria, so that they have something to eat. But then, of course, it's important that you eat more fruits, more vegetables, to give them the chance to flourish and to grow and to develop and to create and make the second skin on our intestines healthy and safe again. So you should take Pro 12 after taking antibiotics, at least for 3 months or so, because antibiotic is really terrible for your intestinal flora, for all of the bacteria, for the pathogenic agents, and for the probiotic. But viruses are not affected, fungi are not affected, and especially after taking antibiotics, you have a dysbiosis, sometimes going on for months, sometimes going on for years. So helping the body to recalibrate, helping the intestine, it's important. Pro 12 after cesarean birth, give it to the youngsters. So from the 3rd month on, for 2 to 3, 4, 5 months, you can open the capsule, and what's coming out, you can do it into whatever they eat or drink. Especially when children seem to have a weak immune system, you can help them. You can give it to adults, especially when they have allergy, hay fever, especially with a lower or with the MetaPro system, and with food intolerances and with irritable bowel system. There are many more, but these are the main ideas here. And usually you take your capsule later on the evening before you go to bed, or early in the morning. Yeah. And at least 3 to 6 months or even longer. So last thing, we're gonna take a short look on colostrum. Colostrum is just a phenomenon of all mammals, because it's the name for the milk of the first hours of life. And these colostrum, these pre-milk, how we call it, it's not just nutrition, it's the immunological power package, or an immunological gift from the mother to the newborn, and it helps the immune system to deal with the situation in the world and to support the immune system. It has also many factors that help the body to grow and to flourish, not just immunological active substances, but also growth factors. It has anti-inflammatory effects, strengthen the immune system, and it supports the intestinal flora, because to have a healthy intestinal flora is especially important in the beginning. It also accelerates wound healing and do many things. So we cannot talk about due to the time today, but here it's important to see that it supports metabolism. Yeah. It also supports muscle building. It's used by sportsmen to support their abilities in contests, and so it's support the body in dealing with inflammation, irritable bowel system, intestinal cures. This is what we have already. So as part of the MetaPro programs, we take 3 capsules in the evening before going to bed. And if you have liquid colostrum, you can also use liquid colostrum, but as I heard, you use capsule, and that's okay. And now we put it all together, and we're coming to the MetaPro program. Please, this is the basis. this is a couple that works excellent together, aloe and probalance. Yeah. And then colostrum, capsule or liquid, focus on metabolism. Pro-12, focus on the intestine. It's always good if you combine the whole thing. If you combine the whole thing, you combine the effects of all the products and all the ingredients. So you have a stimulation of metabolism due to the enzymes, due to the amino acids in the aloe. You have a reduced inflammation and oxidative stress due to the aloe vera. You have a strengthening and balancing of the immune system due to the aloe vera. You have de-acidification. You have balance of the acid-base system due to probalance. You secure the supply of minerals. You secure the supply of trace elements due to probalance. You improve the intestinal flora due to Pro-12. You strengthen and balancing the immune system, again, to colostrum here. You support metabolism and body composition. And here it comes. All the effects take place simultaneously and in parallel. This is really quite something. Yeah. So with the Meta Pro, you have an influence on the intestine, on the immune system, on the skin, on your mood, all at the same time by combining all of these effects. And this is really quite something. Yeah, so you can use it for inflammation in the intestine, irritable bowel, diarrhea, food intolerances, yeah, high fever, allergies, asthma. You see, it's a broad variety. It's not for every disease, but you can always do something for your body. Yeah. The point here is, and I don't want to go into all the details because we don't have the time, is just to give you an idea. But actually, the overall idea here is that you have an understanding that no matter what kind of disease you have, it is always good to strengthen the regulatory capacity of the body. Of course it is. It is always good to have a good supply of micronutrients. Of course it is. It is always good. And especially important if you have a disease, especially if it's a chronic disease, yeah, because it's not just for a couple of days, like an infection. And especially true for diseases that are a result of our lifestyle, yeah. So to support self-healing and to support self-regulatory capacity, it's always a good thing to do, especially if you have a disease. So the idea here is your recommendation of the Meta Pro set is independent in a way. It's not true for all. I mean, there are diseases, maybe you have no idea, you have no influence, but it is independent, mainly independent from the disease people have. It is independent from the situation because it's always good. It's like, I mean, it's always good to bring flowers to your wife. Of course it is. You don't do it just because of, you do it because you love your wife. I mean, yeah, it's always good to help a friend, to be kind. It's good for life to give water to your plants in the garden or in your house. You support life. You support the body. And that's always good to do, and it's especially good if you have a disease. Yeah, that's the big idea. So that was already a summary, but I say it again. So the Meta Pro enables you to reduce stress and burden. You reduce the burden coming through hyperacidity, reduce the stress that comes through dysbiosis, reduce the stress and burden that comes through chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. You take the burden down, reduce burden from your system. That's always a good idea. And then you strengthen the body. You strengthen especially the intestine. Yeah. You strengthen the supply chain in your body. You strengthen your intestinal flora. You improve metabolism. You help the body also in cleansing and detoxification. We didn't talk about this, but it's also a part, regenerative aspects of especially aloe vera. You Burden down, strength up. I think this comes down to that, and that helps the body to regulate, to help the body to deal with a disease, to deal with the environment, to deal with modern life, and to stimulate the self-healing capacity. Yeah. And of course, the Meta Pro is most effective in combination of the products, if you use the whole range of products. But then, of course, if you have little changes in your diet, you eat maybe more plants, and that's the most basic and most effective recommendation you could make in terms of nutrition. Eat more plants, and maybe reduce sugar, reduce meat and white flour. Yeah. And if you do so and you use the product and then have loving patience, you're going to see a lot of positive effects. Yeah. So the message is for you and all the people, you can do something. You can do something, and don't wait too long, because health is very precious. We can support this. We should support this, because the world is changing and it's getting worse, I suppose. So it's good that we have our shit together, that we have a community that supports us, and I'm more than willing to do so in the future also. So stay with your life tucked, stay with your health and the people that support this. And yeah, all the best. Thank you for listening, and I give it back to you, Adele. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Werchan, for this webinar. I think this webinar provided many valuable information for all of us. So thank you again. And dear partners, we recorded this webinar, and we will share with you soon in the following days. So you can watch again, and you can take some notes if you couldn't follow some of the parts. And thanks again, Dr. Werchan, for your time and for your professional presentation. Have a nice evening, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Sziasztok, további szép
Bye.
estét nektek!